I've heard you say that your product is both, you have a product for your customers, which is actually your product, and then you have your culture, which is a product for your employees. And so how do you think about the tension, and what was that shift that you guys thought through of going from or employee-centric to customer-centric?
I remember, well, we also measure NPS of our employees, and we always have.
ENPS.
ENPS. And we use...
And you always rate very highly on culture and best place to work and win all these awards, right?
There's a reason for that. We really think a lot about it and try to make an amazing place to work.
It's not the massages?
There are no massages.
Yeah.
And I don't think ping pong massages and any of that really matters in those things. I think it's about, do people resonate with the mission? Do they think management's making smart decisions? And it's more that stuff than the ping pong and the massages. But I can tell you a story on how we got into all the culture stuff. The first 2 years of HubSpot, culture was a 4-letter word. Like, we weren't allowed to talk about it, sort of like stock price at HubSpot now.
Why? Because
we just couldn't measure it. We were analytical people. I don't know.
Felt too nebulous.
Felt squishy.
Yeah.
And then I joined, and I recommend other founders do this, a CEO group. And there were 10 CEOs that got together once a quarter, and they picked a topic and went very deep. And I remember I largely joined it because of Colin Engel was on it. And Colin is the founder of iRobot that makes those Roomba vacuum cleaners. And I would describe my relationship with Colin at the time as man crush. I had a man crush on him. Like, he was on my Mount Rushmore of founders. He was like 5 years ahead of me on the journey. And I remember I sat down for the first meeting. I didn't know what the topic was. And I sat right next to Colin, of course. And it was culture. And I thought, crap, I don't have anything to add. I think it's a waste of time. And then at lunch, Colin pulled me over and he said, "Why are you so quiet? You don't like this topic, do you?" And I said, "No, I think it's a waste of time." He said, "Culture. Culture is how people make decisions when you're not in the room. Culture is how you really scale a company." I said, "Okay." Well, I engaged, listened. It was pretty good. Next morning, I'm in the office. I bump into Dharmesh, and he says, "How was it? How's Colin? Was it really good?" I said, "Yeah, it's really good." He said, "What was the topic?" I said, "It was culture." He said, "Oh, that's really too bad." I said, "No, Dharmesh, culture is how people make decisions when you're not in the room. Culture is how you really scale a company." And so from that point on, we started thinking heavily about two products: a product we sell to our customers and a product we effectively sell to our employees. We wanted both products to continually improve. We want a high NPS on both products and continue to evolve them. We promoted someone internally who was in the marketing organization to run HR, to really focus on this, and still running it, Katie Burke. And that has really served us quite well.
How do you focus on culture? Like, what is it that, I mean, obviously, back to our manage for what you measure, I'm sure having ENPS and all of that, but like, did you come up with set of values and just continue to iterate on that? Did you make sure people are heard? Did you implement a new performance management system? Like, what were sort of the tactics that you did?
There are two basic things that all founders can do. One is just start measuring employee net promoter scores, and just send the same survey you send to your customers. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer a friend to work at XYZ company? Why? And leave a form field.
And how often were you doing it?
Once a quarter. And we've done it once a quarter now for 14 years. People will write novels, really write novels. And the key is we publish then all of the answers on our wiki. And at the time, we had the world's most, Jay would tell us, you have the world's most active wiki. And we would publish everyone's answers so everyone could see in a very transparent way what the issues were that everybody else.
Did you remove any names and stuff? Maybe a little bit of sanitation?
We still remove names. We remove foul language, but all 99% of it's out there. If someone's slamming me on there for some reason, it's on there. And the important part is putting it on there. And then what we used to go to this restaurant next to HubSpot called Similans. And Similans, it was a Thai restaurant. Like a lot of Thai restaurants, it's a menu's got a plastic covering, and then there's chilies. And one chili means it's a little hot, and 5 chilies means, holy crap, that's a hot dish. And so we would categorize all of the long form responses into a Similan style menu with like, here are the 5 chili ones, here's the 4 chili, and would respond to everyone. And sometimes the response was, yes, I know everyone wants to have your salaries doubled. We're not going to do that, and here's why. So we oftentimes would whatever they were asking for or wanted, we would do. But many times we wouldn't and would explain why. And that over time built up a lot of trust that transparency equals trust, transparency equals speed. And that over time really helped us. So that's one thing I would do. The second thing I would do would put together we call it our culture code, call it whatever you want, but like a deck that describes your relationship between the company and the employee. And we did that originally. And we did, by the way, Netflix did this first. They built a deck describing kind of their culture, and it was great. But man, Netflix culture was totally different than we wanted our culture to be. So we built our own. It was totally different. It was based on a bunch of surveys, and we hired somebody to help us put it together. And then it described what it's like to be a HubSpotter. And then we evolved it over the course of 16 years. And then every 6 months or so, we'll evolve it. And I sat next to Dharmesh on the flight over last night, and we were debating making a change to the culture deck. So that thing's it's like the U.S. Constitution. You can change it. It's kind of hard to change, but you can change it. So that's evolved quite a bit over time.
How many pages is the?
It's 128 pages.
128 pages. What did it start out at?
128.
Really?
Yes.
You've kept it consistent.
Yes, and we pulled stuff out and added it. And
blood in, blood out, 1 for 1.
Exactly. And the stuff that tends to get pulled out is when we talk the talk on something and the employees are like, you talk the talk on that, but you didn't walk the walk. So either walk the damn walk or take it out. And so that creates the debate.